Hello everyone, my name is Kaylee, and today I'm going to be talking about Creon from the 1957 production of Oedipus Rex. So this production of Oedipus is fairly straightforward adaptation of the play written by Sophocles. The translations are slightly different, but the basic flow and tone of each line remains very similar to the version we've read in class. The first thing you'll probably notice is, of course, the masks. I personally feel like these masks add a certain element of the uncanny to the play. They help create this atmosphere that feels just sort of wrong, and I feel like that's very appropriate for the story of Oedipus. If you were to go into this movie with no concept of the story of Oedipus, the masks would certainly add that element of something feeling off about this whole situation. I also really appreciate the detail and artistry that went into each mask created for this production. When you look at the chorus, no two masks are exactly the same. They all have their own unique sculpt, and that sort of detail must have taken someone, or maybe multiple people, a lot of time to create. But anyways, let's talk about Creon. This is what he looks like in the film. I'm not sure what they were going for here, but he looks like some sort of tree man. Like, it almost reminds me of the Green Giant.
What are you doing, Sprout?
And you know what? I kind of like it. It's weird, it's funny, it's cool. Not as cool as Tiresias, but still interesting. The scene I'm presenting today takes place near the middle of the film after Tiresias shows up and tells Oedipus that he's the one who killed Laius. Oedipus accuses the Green Giant of trying to usurp the throne, and Creon tries to convince him of his innocence. In the play, Creon has a much longer speech that includes why he'd never even want to be king in the first place, but in the movie, they pretty much cut this speech in half.
Also, friend, not so! I am no contriver of plots. And in proof of this, go to the oracle at Delphi and ask if I have truly told what the gods said. And after that, if you have found that I have plotted with the soothsayer, take me out and kill me. Not on the sentence of one mouth only, but of two mouths. Yours and my own. What would you do? Drive me from the land? Not so. Not banishment. Death.
So yeah, I sped through most of that because they talk so slow. But anyway, you get the idea. The acting is very over-exaggerated because of the masks. They have to draw out every emotion, every line of dialogue, so that the audience can really get a sense of the emotion and the characterization of the scene. In this scene specifically, there's a lot of dialogue with the theme of betrayal. I believe that this scene in particular really foreshadows just how badly everyone will be affected when the truth of Oedipus is revealed. Because Oedipus isn't just mad at Creon for his suspected betrayal, he wants him dead. That's a very large reaction to have, and he doesn't even have any evidence or reason to feel that way outside of his own paranoia. I also want to talk about the drawback of the stage not being incredibly large. So there's long stretches of the characters just sort of standing in place while they exaggerate their speech. There's a lot of like indignantly yelling at each other and cutting the camera in a certain way to make it feel like the actors are moving much further than they actually are. The stage setting of this movie can get incredibly stale after a certain point because the entire thing takes place on the steps of the palace. And this palace is not very interesting to look at. It's gray and sad, which you could say is fitting for the story of Oedipus, but I think it would benefit the film greatly if they'd painted it a more opulent color, like maybe gold or something. It just makes everything feel a bit dreary, and not in the cool gothic way, but more like the sad millennial gray way. As far as Creon's character goes in this film, he doesn't really show up a whole lot. He pretty much just has this scene with Oedipus, and then he doesn't really show up again until the end of the film when they reveal him as the new king. I do like how they incorporated the crown and scepter into his costume here to help signify that he's the king, because in the play they don't really specify or dwell on that fact. They kind of just like briefly mention it in the dialogue. But yeah, as far as characterization goes, there's not really much to say about Creon, other than his depiction here is very faithful to the written play. He's kind of just a guy compared to all the other characters.